town. So Mark and Bob are missing in action.
And Marco's no longer on the committee because he's on the board.
So we're down to 7. Until next month, we'll be. And so,
Okay.
but we're not voting on anything tonight, we don't need a form.
Right.
So call the meeting to order. It's been noticed. We almost have a form and that's okay. All right, so call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is splash pad update. We are very close. It's taking a little bit longer than would have liked, but we're a little almost ready to sign a contract. We had some issues on liability, et cetera. But we think we've reached agreement between ourselves, Grand Manners, Colonel Board, and the vendor. And so we anticipate within this week signing the contract, and then we'll be able to start the permitting process. Yes, right. Who signs it? The board? I don't know.
Don, the
Don
board
signs it.
president, signs it.
Yes, chairman of the board.
Chairman of the board signs it.
They sign on, does he sign all the contracts?
Yes, the board president signs all contracts that are over my expenditure authority.
Okay, so it took a little bit longer, maybe a week or two longer to get to where we're to get to. But if we sign the contract this week and all goes well, we're still on track for September 1st completion based upon the schedule.
Yeah, and once you do that, could you send me the schedule?
Yes, so we have, it's right, I take the note saying it's like.
Yeah.
50, I'll send you the exact, what's in the contract.
Yeah.
I can do it before we leave here.
Okay.
But basically 50% second quarter, 50% third. Payments a little more front end loaded. So that's that. Second item as related to splash pads is I'm pleased to present on the screen the preliminary final designs, which are different than what we saw last month. They moved some things around a little bit, but it's got the same number of appliances and apparatus. It's just laid out a little differently. That's the best angle there. Looks pretty exciting. You got the hoops all on the side. You got the slides. You got the trees and 43 separate round spigots. It's on a timer, so you can turn it off starting at whatever time in the evening we decide, turning it on in the morning. So anyway, looks pretty good. I don't know if there's any comments or questions as it relates to the design or updated design.
Is there an immediate start after the contract signed or is there?
After the contract signs, the next step is we have to go get permits for some behind the scenes stuff. They have to go get permits with Osceola County Building and Health. And so that's the gate, is how long does that take, right? Once the permits are done, 4, 6 weeks, whatever, I don't know.
Well, I think that'll be delayed. So first, before they can do permitting, they have to do the engineered drawing.
I'm so sorry. Thank you. They've got to go do to submit the permits. Now they've started, but they got to do the engineering plans and that could take, that's several weeks for them to do the engineering. Then they submit for the permits. The process of them coming in, doing the demolition of the site prep, the plumbing, laying down the concrete, waiting 30 days for the cure period, and then coming back in and putting it on.
Close off the entire.
Hi, Robert. Hi.
Good evening. Good evening.
Is that multiple people speaking or an echo?
Yeah.
He joined twice.
Okay, got it. Is it just,
It's just him online, but you are at quorum now.
okay, so Rob, we think you're on twice and that's why you're echoing. Okay,
Yeah, trying to get rid of it.
thank you. Did you have a question or just saying hi?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Anyway, so that's where we are. I mean, I think the bottom line is we're getting close to contract signing, which is the first step. So, the only other issue related to the design, and Lauren, I'm so sorry, I can just go back a second. So to answer your question, there's a fence up there now for the kiddie pool. That blue circle, and prior, she pulls it up, that blue circle is a subset of the current footprint. So if you just drew, if you just went to the right there's the fence goes here, thank you. The fence goes right where the cursor's going, the mouse. Okay, so there's a little apron that currently is cracked concrete because it's pitching down and it's just over the years. And so we need to either resurface that or completely rip it up. And when they're putting down the concrete for their 1,600 feet, make it, because the last thing we want is to have this beautiful splash pad and then have, have a surface that's, 25 years old and cracking around it. And it's not a big apron, it's probably 3 feet wide around most of it. So we're working with Rick and Lauren and others to come up with a remedy as to how to remedy the out of scope surface that's still within the confines of the fence.
So there's reserve funds for that, for the kiddie pool for this year / last year,
Yeah.
that can be used to address that.
Since that's out of scope, but in the environment,
Depending on how much it is.
we don't always spend how much is available. Okay. And that's it for the splash pad update. Any questions? Okay, so Mark is not here. So Lauren, I don't know if you can give us
So we're getting close on the design drawings. Some of they were shared at the board workshop earlier this month. I think they're close to be ready to be shared. Oh, here's Mark. He can continue.
just gonna text. It's perfect. You heard us. It was sitting outside. We just did a splash pad update, and all's going pretty well there. We'll show you some pictures afterwards. And now we just jumped to item number 2, the 51 update.
No idea. They just put the DD package. I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Okay,
So I haven't had a chance to get out yet my work season, so.
well, so can you just repeat what you just said? The due diligence, what just got completed?
What's that? The design development. So the last step where they've got basics of the entire scope is there.
Okay,
Now they do the construction documents, which is the rest of it. Ideally, they could get an estimate from the contractor for where it's at.
okay.
It's something. I don't know if it's, we're so far into it, I don't know if it's worth bothering right now or not. To do an estimate on it. Calc has the ability to do it themselves, doing an estimate, I think.
Throwing a number. Yeah, probably.
Better than a wrong though, an actual estimate. So it might be worth it just to see where it's at. But
Overall, since last month, are things progressing along?
yeah, it's moving pretty well. One thing they did say, although I haven't had a chance to review it in the package, is that they think they can get the lower part of the exterior wall fixed with a support detail than what they were thinking they were having to do originally,
Okay.
which will significantly help. Haven't had a chance to review that yet.
Okay,
But the original plan was to actually, because there's just nothing there, it's literally wide open around the base of the building, was to actually go in and cut out the bottom of the studs, pour a concrete curb around there, and bring it all back down on top of it. To do this reflash it, they think they can do it with a little bit simpler detail, 2 different ways.
okay,
But I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I think that's fine. They literally are exterior envelope experts, so I trust it. Yeah. On it, So in other words, there might be a little bit of cost savings there, which is good. So anyway,
They just schedule and kind of send out.
yeah, they're right on their schedule. So at this point, their DD package would include what they think the scope is for mechanical, electrical, plumbing plus civil. So all of the information is there scope wise.
So Mark, if I read, just help me here. So when the construction documents are completed sometime after that 6/6, that made that correctly, then at that point, is that when we would send those out to get final bids?
Yes,
Okay.
and send it out for permit, both.
Right.
Yes,
Permitting and bids, and so that would take, so 6, 7, so sometime in August, we would know perhaps cost.
you would know it costs much quicker. If we're able to get an RFP out at the same time that the drawings are pretty much done.
Yeah,
And the drawings go with it. So in other words, time as they're putting out an RFP, the second they're done. Then we can get back pricing actually in just a matter of weeks actually after that.
Okay.
So second, early part of
July,
July.
okay.
While they're finishing up this, we need to also issue an RFP for the project management piece of it.
Does this group that's working on this, do they regularly, that's to
What's
review
that?
this? Yeah, yes,
Yeah,
okay,
We have stakeholder groups for 851 with Collick.
okay,
yeah, it really has come together very nicely.
okay.
Haven't been interested to see what the last set of stuff there, but you can set up. And then needed. Legal.
I know you didn't say this, but I'll just say that you correctly. So we haven't learned anything new from last month that would say that the objective, that's a bad word, objective of they don't use the word refurbishing anymore, it's what we're supposed to use.
It's a renovation.
Renovation, the renovation, I don't get into tomorrow. The renovation is this, anything that would expose the cost estimate or the recommendation to go with the renovation. I mean, we still have to do the work, but we haven't learned anything to say that there's any new surprising news that would carry.
There's no surprises, but that doesn't mean that I know what it costs.
Got it. Okay, and we won't know until we do. Got
Don't know until it's and fully priced. I find when you just estimate things, they tend to be actually far off.
it. Yes,
When we get bids, they're more real.
yeah,
Okay. So we'll see what happens with this partners. It's this project so it's size. So the groups would be interested in actually doing the work. Yeah, so there's nothing alarming anywhere.
okay.
Unusual.
Well, we have you up there. So the next was, we talked last month, we had a draft, a very early draft of the multifunction court RFP. And we,
Yeah, we talked about not doing that anytime soon, so I haven't gone back and updated it, but I will, just in the next couple of weeks.
okay, so I think we should pick a date where we want to issue that RFP. Because like you say, I say, hey, it's not soon, you think it's soon. Well, what would be, from this group's perspective, not to start construction,
No,
but just to see, right? Because we know that because of the history involved, that this is just a couple different views on what, when, where, and how, and if to do this, that the sooner we can get, put it out, get the RP done, get prices, it would allow us to have a good discussion.
yes, as I've said.
They're expecting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And this is from a priority perspective, was after the split. Not after, it's the second project that could be done currently, but knowing that the splash pad would be done late summer, early fall, right? We would then check that box and want to be full-fledged into into this, whether or not it takes, whether or not we defer putting the shovel on the ground until a certain point is fine. But to know we have a vendor lined up, we have prices, and we have plans, we can go get permits.
Yeah, it needs to be designed, and that's what I've said all along, is I do think we need to spend the design money, and that's what the RFP was to do the design work.
Right.
Move it forward, so I think that's still the case. RFP is something that's close, it just needs to be a little bit better adjusted, and then
So,
I still need conversations, really understand the contract.
so do we say July 1st? I just put that out there.
That'd be fine.
July 1st,
Yeah,
then we have a document to go on. Okay, so that gives us time.
If we want it approved by the board, we should probably, whatever the 5 meeting is at the end of June.
June, right, end of June, whatever, June 20. June.
to approve the RFP to go out.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
Doesn't
That way
generally
we get it out.
issuing RFPs. The board doesn't generally approve issuing RFPs.
Okay.
It's only the expenditure after the fact, because they're not spending any money when you're
To do the
issuing the
RFP.
RFP.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Anyway, in any case, July 1st is our target, right? So that we would say it's a priority, not priority, whatever we don't do.
You would then get it back at the end of the month, so you would see what the fees are.
Yeah.
Moving forward at that point. So sometime in August, there could be.
Just to repeat what you say, that would be for the design.
Yes,
We get the design, we find out how much that costs, we get approval, proceed with the design. And then at that point,
there's a middle of August board meeting that. Because we have-
Second of Wednesday of the month.
So we could easily do that.
Okay. got it, okay, fine.
And then the design will take till the end of the year and then.
Jim, you out in your golf cart, going on the,
Before I start this, I just want to let you know that with our capital fee through March kind of the date, we're looking at about 59 homes being sold so far. That capital fee is going to come in at about 253,000. If we didn't get that approved, it would be 77,000. So the difference is 176,000 just in the first 3 years. So,
wow.
yeah, thank the finance committee for getting that done. Okay, moving on to,
So how much did you say the amount was?
we should be getting in, well, time,
At the time,
253,000,
and that's 53 homes, 59 homes?
59 homes.
Thank you. Okay,
Okay, so, yeah, I went around to all the park enhancement areas and projects that we talked about and that together. I admittedly wasn't totally involved in that part of the project at that time, but yeah, you can go ahead. If you remember, we looked at this as some of the spending in the first couple of years was 200 of the 650. But I'll be showing you on this, some of the other projects the board has already approved and what could impact it. Okay. So North Village, if you remember, we had the playground, we wanted to add shade, seating and technology. And the meeting room, do a general refresher upgrade. So the North Village Parks, you can see there is some shade over there on it. But we're going to be looking at additional seating as well. So, as far as the priority goes, go to the next one. they're now working on Long Meadow. And it was supposed to start March 10th. It hasn't really started yet.
Well, it's fully demoed.
Yeah,
It's fully demoed.
Yeah. So, the way I look at it is with this going on, we'll probably delay the North Park a little bit longer into next year, probably, but, as you can see, the playground repair, 74,000, they approved, the mulch and sod and everything here for 98,000. And they're also providing seating here, along with the hippodrome for Victoria benches and the.
Yeah, the replacement.
The general refresh of the meeting room, I put this over to the side, which are all the rooms that we currently have that you can rent. This is not one of them at this point in time. Again, we'll talk about this at the end of my summary, but you know, as we're dealing with 851 and how that's going to be reset as far as rooms go and things, we can look at this again. Okay, as far as East Lawn, you know, the big field that's there, we talked about putting in bathrooms, larger pavilion, and again, technology. A lot of the technology is just having where people charge their phones and things like that at these places. And at the pool, we looked at others. That's okay. So this was in our study where we put, you know, lines on the field and as far as the East Lawn field. But so I went out and took some pictures of it. It's still just kind of all there. There's a backstop. You can't really see it over here.
yeah, to the left.
But that's pretty much it. That's it.
So yeah, well, that stuff works, doesn't.
Yeah, and that's the current pavilion that's there as well. Where there's one person with their dog. That was it.
Yeah,
So-
it's quite a bit. I'll interject when you're done.
Yeah.
Explain a little bit more.
Okay. So the board added some shade to the playground. There also appears to be more umbrellas than when we first looked at it.
They were replaced.
Yeah, around the pool. So I'm not sure about additional shade for this pool, the way it's all set up. But again, that's something we can talk about as we go along.
Just for reference, Lauren, that's just that green, it's the first picture to the left, right? So how much is one of those? That's the one that, because that 72,000 is for all shade structures for all those places.
Yeah.
So is that $10,000-$15,000 per structure?
So you have the two small pool shade structures that were
Yeah.
in the,
But that's the one that's over the playground.
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
yeah,
I just was wondering,
There's one over the Island Village playground as well.
yeah,
So,
what's them combined for some?
15,000, yeah.
They're not as attractive as the sail shade structures, but
The functional,
Yeah.
right now, some guy sitting underneath it.
okay, Lakeside, we talked about reimagining the Jones room. It's got some bad pictures here, but that's what it currently looks like, pretty boring. We talked about upgrading it and hopefully increasing the rentals and things like that, so. Again, more we'll talk about. Artisan Park, well, this was very interesting. I went there and who was there but Celia and her family. So she informed me of the whole story about how this is going back, and this area, which is across from Clubhouse, was going to be a park. But the Artisan owners rejected, and they bought this land, I guess, and so Crolla couldn't put in a park across from it because they didn't want a park in Artisan Park. So I got the whole story, cost a couple of board members their seats, I guess. But go ahead. So this is the amphitheater.
Which Crow owns, Kroger.
Crow.
The only thing that's not owned by Croa in Artisan Park is well, I mean, technically it is owned by Croa, but Artisan Park operates and maintains it themselves, the clubhouse
Yeah.
and the grass field across from it, and the grass areas that are within the condo association.
Yeah, but also the pool.
Pool and gym are all Artisan Park.
So the only bathrooms that are there are in those facilities. There's no other.
Right.
So, I mean, this would, to me, this makes sense if we can, we have to get a contractor to come in to see water in there. So see if we could actually put in a couple bathrooms. I think it would probably increase the usage of this theater.
It's frequently people want to rent it for weddings because it's a nice location, but there's no restrooms.
That's where I wanted to end up. Meeting room and restrooms at the top of the hill. There's a set of trees back behind it. So, yeah, exactly. Go right where the first is. That way there's a meeting room for people to get ready to do whatever, and then yeah, promenade all the way down. And with restrooms at that end, there's the opportunity to create a playground where the not real bocce court is.
No, it's at the
Right here.
So in that area, there's possibly a playground there. Clubhouse is all the way that way, a couple of blocks.
Yeah.
So
So
this is where that pavilion is, and then there's this pathway
Yeah.
with the nature preserve around it, and then this would be,
right there by the road, which make it much easier getting everything else on first.
yeah, but we'll talk about that because those residents are right there too.
Yeah, they are.
Something like that. Okay.
Make it nice.
So this was that back area. I thought that's where.
Yeah, actually putting it across the street from it. So it's a little more central in the neighborhood. So where Bocce Court is.
Yeah,
And right now there's a big berm there, so the thought was kind of still permit, but at least put a playground in the middle that's not too big.
yeah, I mean, these are all things, we're not making any decisions.
No, it's
Yeah.
the stuff there that there's otherwise not anything for anyone in that area.
What the reason the berm recently taken down or some? No idea why, if just one day when you're cut them all down.
Yeah.
Somebody that's not like trees.
Okay. Pool heaters, we brought up and put onto our list of things to do. These are the four, I think that we got the quotes on for.
the other.
We're looking at gas, especially in because we have the natural gas.
I guess the thought process would be that as we look at all the parks enhancements, that even though this is not a park enhancement, it's pulling, it's the same bucket of money.
Right.
Right, so as we prioritize, bathroom next to the amphitheater versus heating North Village Pool.
Yeah.
We would, based upon the surveys we did, the master plan, community input, and ourselves, prioritize and make a recommendation. It will do 2 a year for the next 4 years, and these are the first 2.
We'll get to that.
Yeah,
I mean, but the Jones Room isn't a park. Theoretically, so it's, and my guess is MPAC will continue to have a, evolving type of.
Yeah. Okay.
Things.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's some preliminary thoughts. Like I said, I think North Village playground and meeting room potentially delay at least till 2026, like we had on some of our stuff. Wait until Long Meadow Park is complete. And then for the meeting room, see what happens with 851 as to whether that's going to make sense or just be used for storage or whatever. We'll have to look at that. The East Village Field and Pools. I think we got to just kind of review that again this summer as to if we need to add more shade. Certainly, I think we can, if we're going to get a contractor about bathrooms, that we would ask them to look at this as well as potential.
Does that include So you say East Village Fields. But
So,
that's a whole separate thing. There's the pool area and then there's the
And the
field
field,
area.
you're right.
Yeah.
separate.
Yeah, I
really are. And I understand what you did here.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's, because you could say, hey, we've done enough for the pool area, but you know, we still have the question mark, when, where, and if we do what we saw before, the pavilions and the bathrooms, because right now we have a playing field that's highly utilized with no bathrooms.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're gonna line the fields, maybe we work with the rec committee to talk about what is best use for that field. Is it better to line it for, you know, soccer teams to at least play on it, or is it better for something else?
It's currently used for T-ball and for lawn sports.
And lacrosse,
Lacrosse.
and lacrosse teams are out there, flag football teams are practicing, sister teams are practicing. My kids out there practicing a couple times a week.
Just to educate me, it's, a lot of people practice, but does it have the official line? You can't
do anything.
you can't do anything official there, but it's the multi-purpose practice field.
Right.
Yeah, basically, well, there's nothing there, so it's not lined. I don't know that it needs to be, but it definitely needs bathroom. And the whole point of that was to, one, also have a meeting room. There is no meeting room anywhere East Village, anywhere, except for this. So there is nothing for Willow Loop, East Village, Zippo to get all the way over here, or ours, not for ours. So putting a meeting room there would be kind of nice. But the thought is that all these buildings could be the same, the one that suggested for North Village, the one for Artisan Park, and this one, it could be a meeting room with 2 bathrooms, same design, just different exterior. Getting it planned, designed, done, and the 3 of them match the character of where they're at.
And Mark, and the only, my individual, so I agree with that. So the question is with that footprint size and quality, because again, me personally, I don't think we want to do an island village, a high-end clubhouse where you can rent out for weddings. This is, but it's going to be a low cost, but a low. Because it's, yeah, 2 bathrooms, a nice little room, so the Boy Scouts can rent it out, people could do a party, right, but it's a low cost, low rental price. I mean, lower as opposed to skylights.
Yeah, it doesn't need skylight, but it needs to be a. But the room size needs to be something like this, that's useful. And people, kid, whatever. And then gathering a wedding. But
When you get 1
Yeah.
It's 40 to 5, you do 1 every 18 months, you do 3 of them.
keep a design permit, right, so you design all 3 of them at once, and you're done.
1.3 as opposed to 3.
Personally, I think we would have to survey the residents of these areas if they want to meet.
Yeah, Artisan is probably the only one that's actually a problem. East Village, it's not. Where I suggested putting it, is where there's not any houses around it.
Yeah.
Period. And I think
Which is why
that's-
I'm saying.
Yeah, it's at far end.
Yeah. But are they going to use this? You know, 851 being back on.
And used by the Boy Scouts every year for the last 4 years by.
Yeah, the 851 rentals were busting at the seams. We were always looking for space. We've had to kick partner programs out because we don't have space because of 851. So the North Village meeting room and any other meeting rooms, we could welcome partners back and
again, if you
expand
had
offering.
rental cheap enough, people would have had the party that.
Well, they're by the field, so people are still using that little building in East Village for parties all the time. So that's, it's
I just think
it could be used more. No doubt.
Just to, if you survey the people right next door, they're going to say no, good in the community. we know, we put this in our planning that says you've got a community and you have nowhere for people to gather for, you know, whatever it is. You just gather.
East Village, East Village, I think is easy. I can't, that's the single person that I know, and I know people that live across from them that would agree that it's one of them have to be coached. So it's. The North Village, the one thing that was submitted there is bathrooms that are at that north end. Actually isn't any bathrooms are in that whole stretch. So if you're at one of those two playgrounds, you have to go to 4. So one of the things was to put bathrooms at that north end by the playground. And then all that shade stuff wasn't supposed to be inside the two playgrounds, it's in that no man's land put 2 downtown that are a couple of things, a couple of picnic tables all day. So I just thought there's pretty something that looks like a very good place.
I didn't think about this.
Yeah, it's kind of. hard.
Yeah.
I'll look at it.
It's there. It wasn't enough money for what he's describing, there wasn't enough money. There was, you know, it was anyway, and again, I think if we lay it out, because otherwise, it's, well, why are you putting something in East Village and nothing in North Village? So North Village, you already, but North Village already had.
Yeah.
They already have bathrooms. They got bathrooms at the pool.
They do, but not buying, so.
I'm saying at least day one, if we prioritize East Village, logic being is there's fields there. And there's-
Yeah, I would probably, I think East Village should be further. This is important. A ridiculous, almost every play day we ever had when my son was younger over here. There's just absolutely nothing. And also with that larger. Well, anyway, there's no bathrooms if you're there. There's a toddler, younger age children there, and then the older part that's on the other side of it. But trying to take a little kid all the way down to the pool is, trust me, not easy. So the thought was to stick bathrooms just to the right of the, that field, right at the edge of that. And then if we had lawn sports, again, that's where the lawn sports would go. It's right where the cursor was. If you want to put in some of the other things that people want. But then there would be bathrooms and something to respond to. That one doesn't need beaver. It doesn't need bathrooms.
But so Jim, I think as we progress along here, because so it all sounds good, but the plan says do some of these, but if they're 4,000 square feet, which is way too, 4,000 square feet, still gonna cost you and say you did it cheap. Still, best case scenario, $300,000 each. And if you do 3 of them, $1 million. Okay, so there's not $1 million. This whole bucket was 850,000 for everything. So we'd have to say, okay.
That's why you gotta balance all these things.
So that's what we're saying, balance it.
And things like that.
Yeah, let's get, that's good.
But the other side we have to look at is the cost of maintenance. Because if we put bathrooms all over the place, the amount of maintenance costs are gonna be way.
Because as maintenance and reserve, right? But we did say we were gonna go invest in these areas, so it's just a question of prioritizing and. Yeah, Jones, you're right, until 851 gets done, you can't touch that.
And plus the splash pad.
So now we just made advance.
Yeah, no, I know. There's just so much going on.
North Village Room is an interesting one. There's a large, there's a unit that's in there, but the thing is, there's no actual windows in it. So it has some upper third story windows and everybody screens wall. So
Yeah.
all you gotta do is put in windows, get rid of the, God knows what's in the walls now, mold, but once you put in windows, put in a proper AC unit system. Yeah, obviously redo the interiors of it, it's done, so. That's the space that could be brought back into use pretty easily. The sort of halfway done that was, it's not a good idea. So, yeah.
We talked about Artisan Park, so I think that's first thing to look at the bathroom. Down the road was okay. But it's going there. I just don't know how many people actually go in there and use it. It's
To use what? To use what?
park in Artisan Park.
Okay.
I live, I live kitty corner to the one in the village, and it's, we're getting more people coming there. With all the parks in Northville, Janesville, all those parks, I mean, just not sure how many.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But the amphitheater is bigger than Arts Park because that's used for people in the community to go have weddings. And so what the people living across the street think about it is important, but it's also for the benefit of the community.
No, that's why I agree on the back.
Yeah, that's-
Yeah, that's broken. We'll say good people that want to figure it. So it's
Okay,
also a huge group or against wanted to play.
No, but again, we can.
Again, I mean, be careful with all due respect to Artisan Park, just because a lot of the residents know that they can't use a lot of their facilities. And there's a lot of fun. So, okay, pool heaters. I'm kind of thinking that if we go out to everybody and say we'll do one a year for the next 4 years and get them all done, that would be a very positive thing.
Obviously, the final cost and prioritize it against everything else, maybe.
Yeah, hopefully the right system that works, whatever that is.
I think we're going to talk about the maintenance sheds.
That's a separate line.
Yeah, and then technology upgrades, I was thinking that we get a list of the areas and sit down with GM's IT guy.
Why is that on our list? Technology.
For all the
They were
different,
suggested as part of the report.
from all the different sites where we wanted to put.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, yes, yeah, put that,
Yeah. As opposed to open,
yeah,
yes, but.
to see where it's feasible, where it
To put
is.
our,
Yeah. The thought with that, if there was not a pavilion or there wasn't an actual structure with something, for instance, if we did put in pergola type things and benches, picnic tables in that middle concrete area.
Yeah.
You could build your pergola with a roof, throw a solar panel on it. It's right there already.
yeah.
To provide something, plug stuff into. Or you could just run them.
As opposed to ripping up. That's
Super that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure, there's.
Yeah.
We're gonna get it out there pretty soon.
okay. Okay, I'm done. Nice, okay, so I think. So maybe for next month, Jim, if we can add, so you've drilled from here to here, now we go down one more. To say, okay, what do we, cost that? So we have some idea what some of these might cost, right? Because we can do that, then you can say, okay, let's now make within the next 2 or 3 meetings, make a hard recommendation as to what we want to do first. Bucket A, B, C, and D. We don't have to talk about the timing other than the 4 buckets, right? If it's 4 years or 4 quarters or 8 years, at least, so we have some idea. Because like we keep talking about these buildings, and you can say, well, gee, I could do one building, or I could do everything else on the list, right? And you
Yeah.
say, let's do 4 things as opposed to one building, or let's not do, let's hold off North Village, whatever, and just do one building and have to, whatever. You can start.
We have any idea, especially if we're to put in.
But I mean, you should do a 1,500 square foot building with plumbing.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, you can pick a number, it's 300,000.
It's this. For it. That's where it'd be nice was to get something designed for it.
Yeah, but in the meanwhile, I'll go your favorite buildings. Is, we get a ball. Right, just for discussion. And I think we could just say some of these other things. Okay. Jim, I just have one other question. Last month, you took the pro board through the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And so when we say 2025 projected contribution, is that just through home sales?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was $2 million is what we had, 2087.
There's,
Okay, and so against that 2087, we've got 253,000 so far.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
I mean, summer usually is,
And I know this timing, but the maybe, I got the rollover effect that last December's money may show up in January and next December's may.
yeah, and I'm not worried that much about, I mean, we've got to get that answer as to why it's taking so long for the money to get with us.
Right.
Which we get with the title companies, find the top 3 or 4 title companies that are in celebration, so we can get that.
Okay,
It's the 390 homes that we estimated this year.
Yeah.
Included, 90 for Island Village.
how much?
And
I think that you're not on that run rate, but yeah.
yeah, there's, well, the 3 of them are done. And they've got 4 of the townhomes now pretty much built that they're gonna, I think, use as.
I guess. So thank you. That's why I was
So they'll be starting,
trying to look at that run rate.
Yeah.
It sounded pretty good. It doesn't,
Yeah.
Multiplied by 4 or 5, you weren't getting to the full year number.
right, but a lot of also depends on, like, there's, you know, including pending homes sales.
Yes.
There's 140 to 150 market right now. A lot of those are condos because everybody's trying to get out of condos.
Yeah.
So they're anywhere from 190 to 300,000. So they're lower, but there's some very, very expensive homes out. So,
Good.
so
Oh, not so expensive. Okay, excellent. Jim, thank you. That was a great piece of work.
Is the road open to that phase 2 yet? Or,
If you drive to
There's-
there's.
well, you're
tell them,
trespasses. Just last week, they changed the sign to say the construction area is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Friday. So I have a feeling somebody went after them and said, why can't people go down there during the weekend if there's no work going on?
right.
But I don't know the right answer to that.
I see people on their bikes, but.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna drive down there.
Yeah.
And it's like,
It's a good one.
yeah,
You see the Celebration Boulevard going like this and.
yeah,
So it's.
I like to go my style and stuff on the truck.
Yeah.
Good. All right, great. Okay, Dennis. So you were talking.
This is nothing, should make it get about it.
Yep,
I went down and
yeah,
talked to the guys down at the maintenance shed. Asked them what, and I don't know what the future is going to be. I know up until recently, I was only here, so the 851 building was sort of a focal point where the maintenance guys work down there, and that thing down there, I think they trashed out to some extent. And but since everybody's gone, they're all down there. I think probably our maintenance facilities that were like afterthoughts. You know, they, whatever contractor put them in, left whatever was here, we left them, they're still there. They're suggesting, the people that do the maintenance are suggesting maybe that be in the a couple ways. One, because right now it's got a leaky roof, which is a maintenance issue. But number 2, a lot more stuff being stored down there because there's not updated one building anymore. So they got a workshop, sergeant break room. They have water. Well, there is water down there, but there's no cooler. And I think we're going to find as we work our way through the restroom that the biggest issue is going to be sewer connections. Because they're the hardest to find, the hardest to run. I mean, water's the pipe, you know.
Yeah.
the water goes through the application.
And I think that's gonna, if we're talking about doing a contractor, we may want to find a contractor, they may recommend if we start looking at this seriously.
Yes.
Sort of get these contractors, give us an idea, how much it costs to hook up the drain.
Right.
that's gonna be the one, I mean, a restroom for a place like down there, which they only need one, even 5 or 6 people, would maybe cost $30,000. Basically put in a wall, a toilet and a sink.
But then you gotta pump it, you gotta pump it up. 'Cause you gotta tie it in.
Yeah, that's actually the hard spot because it drops off, you know, so it's no different than a house.
Yeah.
So I get it, so,
Yeah, so you're gonna put a pump in and
yeah, but that would take.
then you're gonna tie it in. That wasn't a building lot, there's no tie in.
You can get it straight to the street. So it's not hard to get the time, it's getting into it, so they can do it. But that's where mine will be.
I suggest we consider adding that to the enhancements, to try to
Well,
enhance that. Decide, maybe the board or somebody needs to decide where is maintenance for the area going to be next. Is it going to be next to one building or is it going to?
There's no space, 851 is already, until if we ever do the senior, the generational expansion of this building, there, 851 is going to be bursting at the seams a year from now. So when it gets reopened, it's going to be the same as it was, except we have thousands of more people living here. Yeah, since it was initially designed.
But unrecommitted.
So it's, and the harder thing, I think, is we could recommend the trade-offs between North Village and putting a bathroom in here. And if we can, but when it comes to providing maintenance for the town, yeah, it's a little trickier as we look, because I got to look through 2 lenses. Because if you look, you say, hey, let's go put multifunction courts. Immediately, hundreds of people will see benefit and say, wow, this is great. It's only 10 people were impacted, but whether they have a bathroom or not, but so you would prioritize at the bottom, except no, you have to have something to, so it's a different sort of prioritization. And if you just put it on the list, it's gonna be last, right? But it can't be, so.
But I think the point is, like, if we get a contractor who knows how to do bathrooms, if we could get them to go to each of the sites that we're talking about, just to give us an idea, they could look at the drawings of where the pipes are and everything underneath, right? Seal County, and say, oh, this one's gonna be really expensive because we're gonna have to bring pipes in here, there, and everywhere. Where those that already exist might be a lot cheaper.
That was 30,000 or 80,000. That's probably the range for the bathrooms. Yeah, so okay, you want to spend 30,000, where the community gets no benefit. We said, yes, but it's just like, cleaning, whatever. It's an important priority, but it's a little tricky as to how we prioritize.
So it's interesting just how it's literally, it's nothing but a shack back there.
It's a shack.
Yeah.
You turn it into, it's actually, you look at what CCDD has or something like that, it seems like there should have been a little building like that somewhere that's nicer that had all these, which I guess was a good one at some point.
But the people in the area are not thrilled with that because it's not sightly at all.
No.
It's gravel road, and crash on and jump all over the place. But that's the only people that feel it that way.
Well, and again,
But also we need to think about how we think about the people that work.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
your employees, and to attract employees and interviewing, and say, where do I go to the bathroom? Well, you really, you don't, I mean, just, they're your employees.
It's a hard sell.
So hard.
Throw a fun wrench in, but I didn't want to add to 851 to add anything significant, but to build, I don't know how much space they actually need. But to build a 4 or 5 shack that's behind there somehow. Not connected to 851, but it's possible to park something out towards the back of the parking lot. I don't know if that really works, but.
So the struggle is there, then you're eating even more of the parking at Town Hall up with the maintenance NEV vehicles. So they park their NEVs over at the shop.
Yeah,
The inspectors' NEVs are parked at 851. And then the trucks are split between Parks and Rec and the maintenance.
So,
So, I mean, right now, if we were in 851, my staff and their cars just to come into work take up 95%.
It's gonna take a.
Yeah.
so, yeah, so.
Yeah. That was just.
Okay, so good.
maybe add something, something. Good thing, like, for the-
If we were to put it, I know I saw email on there's the Fort Wilderness, they're selling those things.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yeah, doesn't solve the plumbing issue.
No, I mean, I think the other thing is too, and I know this is more expensive, is, you know, they don't have any workspace to do like any, like we've been doing a lot of in-house bench refurbishment, so we're not spending money on new benches because we can resand and stain them.
Yeah.
They're putting up one of our event tents as to work under.
All right, so that's gonna go on the list and, you know, and it could be, you know, a minimum investment of fixing the roof and bathrooms, or it could be maximum investment, you know, make it a higher level inside, you know, do some refurbishment inside. Again, that could be 5,000 rehab or 20,000 rehab, right? You could just decide how much.
I guess if you're gonna build something better, you don't do it there, you still do it somewhere else. That's kind of my point.
Yes, yeah, right, well, the next sort of,
There, find a spot.
if you're gonna spend 50,000 to rehab it, it's still gonna have issues. I just think the problem is if you have to build something, it's gonna cost
Yeah, it will.
Plus gotta find a location.
you. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that your space, you mentioned the location, I don't know, is, it's tucked away.
It's also the lift stations right there. That's not gonna move, and it's always gonna be elevated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So it's,
it's probably not a good spot.
because if you tell anybody else who want to put maintenance guys in their neighborhood, good luck with that.
well, that's what I mean, civic.
Yeah. Right. That's actually where it should have. That's what they built.
Well, CCD has.
Well, I think about the CCDD building and we build something just to the north of it. I mean, whatever. Towards the side.
Yeah, they have a nice indoor maintenance area.
They have the whole.
They have their
Yard.
meeting room, their office, they have an indoor maintenance area, and then they have a whole yard.
So anybody,
What's ever done.
yeah, theirs isn't big enough to share. I'm just saying it's,
Right. Well, that's actually what I said.
or I'll give you 50,000 to expand it. 50,000 to expand theirs, and everybody plays in the same maintenance.
How many maintenance people do we have?
I have 10
How many do you think they have?
and the 2 quarters.
Do you have any idea how many they have?
They have around the same.
I'll make a.
It's worth it. Question.
Because that would be, I think, why have two? For anybody who doesn't know better. So wait a minute, we have 2 maintenance areas because there's this other organization called CC, and then there's this CR, and they are separate, so they have to have separate maintenance areas.
I kind of agree. Can
I
you,
mean-
can you bring up Google Maps to look at the area around that building? Their building.
That would be the solution. And then nobody sees that.
Because they have their parking lot, but it's like a trash. It feels a bit too messy. God knows what this is.
Offices rolled together.
So this
Yeah.
is their
So
building.
that building, but if you.
So this is their maintenance building right here. This is lot B that's empty, and here's the dog park.
Okay, wait a minute. That whole, which is that whole building there is maintenance?
So, no, so they have a small meeting room, they have some office space, but
Yeah.
this whole area over, basically this half of the building is their maintenance.
They got.
And then this is their yard.
Yard, is definitely yard.
This is
So they have a yard that's
Like stuff, fitting up.
Okay,
If they're next to it.
Then this is the fence for lot D and then the
Right,
soccer
yeah.
field is like.
like, but all that. And the green, if you take, like, you could take some of that green space if you needed to pave it and for your trees.
Could add a little bit more there and
Yeah.
that whole sort of area on the ring.
So there's a ton of space.
You know, build another
Yes, whatever.
structure that's nothing but a shop.
With that,
Small,
metal walls, metal roofs, and
that's it.
that just pushed that.
Need space to park for cars, well, not there during the day, it looks like after.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
But like big maps are more updated. Future.
Might be bad, people what would work best too for the negatives for Crowell. I don't know. They're-
Well, but the showstopper is, you're talking about the head business, so I said, good luck, Kenny.
Yeah,
The teams get along together.
No, teams do, but it'd be.
Yeah.
I will approach, informally, just. Asking.
yeah, there's space there to create a little more parking, and as pointed out, everybody parking on the grass. Probably one of these days we could, admit to it.
Yeah, well,
We could put paving over there and make it parallel parking.
which, okay. All right, well, that's actually, thanks for doing the research on that. I'm gonna take the lead on just exploring that out. Well, anyway, we're gonna get some more information on it. This is good stuff.
Just out of curiosity, I feel like pool heating should be something that's just. It's not a maintenance thing, but it seems like it's more. I don't know. I guess I'm wondering how that's in our pot of money is.
I asked that question last week. It just,
Okay.
it got, but
It's because it's a large number
because
and
it's a large, it's a couple, it could be a couple 100,000.
Yeah.
And if we said, yeah, this would be a good discussion when we have a forum, we have everybody here. What do you think is more important? You know, bathrooms, heating the pool, or whatever, right? And then we can, as a group, make a recommendation that we could go do some surveys that we want, we can do whatever. But we just, amongst us and looking at the report we did, have a robust discussion as to what we think the community should be. And we could go field test with artists, we go field test with lots of people, but we should say, here's what we're thinking. Right? Here's what we're thinking. Right? And it's,
Pools will be heated, obviously.
well, yeah. We've been this way for 25 years.
Well, I was about to say that to myself, but
Okay, but on the flip side, for 4 months out of the year, most of the pools are not usable. And that's when people come down, the seasonal people are here
Yeah.
and there's one, and
and having just done spring break when it was cold out, everybody's in the pool because it's heated. So
Yeah.
it didn't affect.
Right,
anything,
right.
Even though it's 60 out.
yeah, so.
When the pool season.
Whatever.
If they're in the Island Village pool, they deep in.
Investing,
Yeah.
as we talk about, continue to invest in celebration to make it a world-class fair.
Exactly. It needs to be better.
Right. We want to continue to invest. One of those is Jerry, your pool's heated.
Yeah.
Not just come.
Right.
Certain things that are gonna be a lot more popular with the residents than other things and make us even look better. So.
Okey dokey. Any other questions, comments, thoughts? Just as a reminder, your applications, for those of you who wish to reapply or do in a week or two. Specifically for those sitting at this end of the table, Dennis, Mark. I'd strongly consider.
Realize those back up, but
Back
I
up.
just put ditto and
If you have, you got to sign a little piece of paper.
try to find it.
Yeah, if not, yeah.
there's the extra notice this year of you must use your town hall email address, but you guys do that already. So some committee members do not use an @townhall
Oh, I
email
do.
address, but you guys all do that already.
Yeah, I just,
We kind of didn't give you enough.
yeah, because otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. Any questions from?
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
You heard anything about the actual town that's speaking?